We are April and Scott, creators of NaughtyGym.com, and this is The Naughty Gym Show.
For years, we've been fitness and nutrition coaches to thousands of people through our commercial gyms and online platform. We've also spent nearly a decade in an ever-evolving open relationship.
This show brings together two of our biggest passions, fitness and sex positivity. Our mission is to maximize the physical and mental health of anyone brave enough to explore relationship structures that run counter to societal norms.
We have demolished our old ways of thinking about relationships and from that rubble, built a life full of happiness, adventure, and vitality. And now we want to help you do the same.
So hop on the treadmill, start the show, and let us teach you how to never stop playing.
All right, guys, we have a very interesting episode today. Victoria, we will be interviewing her. She has started a matchmaking service for the consensually non-monogamous community. And as far as she or we are aware, it is the first of its kind, first and only of its kind. And the more we talk to her through this podcast episode, the more we realize this is a really good idea for the right people. However, some of the audio on her end of the podcast, it was a little bad, not horrible, but we just wanted to kind of let you know that ahead of time, that we're aware of it. We tried to clean some of it up, but it's not so bad that you can't understand what we're talking about or that sort of thing. But we did want to give you a heads up.
Yeah. And it's definitely worth a listen. So we've had a lot going on lately. Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of transition, a lot of changes. What is new with you?
Well, we've been working a lot on getting Naughty Gym up to where we want it to be, where we think it can be now that it is our sole focus. And we've been building some additional programming into the platform. We've hired a new coach, Coach Cara, who you may have seen on some of our other podcast episodes. But currently, I'm working with her directly. She is a certified kin stretch and animal flow coach, among a whole bunch of other things. Mm-hmm. Pelvic floor specialization is what her big passion is. But I've been very interested in this animal flow and kin stretch stuff. And she and I have been working together to create a 6-week program that can be tacked on to either Naughty Gym's daily programming or whatever programming you're doing. And it's not an easy thing to do that intelligently, but it's to be able to, in a joint friendly way, maximize the amount of weight loss that you can achieve over a 6-week period. And we're going to a big event, and I'm hoping to, I've taken before pictures, I'm going to take after pictures, and we're going to use that as proof of how effective this can be. So.
And you're going to let me pick your outfit for the theme night for the event that we're going to. He has told me I can pick anything that I want him to wear. Of course, I want him to look good, so it's not going to be foolish.
And it has to be legal.
Right. And he will wear it. So no pressure, but the pressure's on.
All right. And what have you decided?
And I am, like you, a natural competitor. And so being out of the CrossFit gym now and into a commercial gym, it's been a little bit of a transition for me, but I'm actually loving it because I've realized for the first time in many, many years that I'm able to just do my workouts for me. Exactly what I want to do. Nobody's telling me what to do. And I do love that a little. I do enjoy working out with you, but, and so I've been wanting to get back on stage for a long time now. And when I'm talking about like the fitness and figure bikini competition, I competed in my early and mid 20s. And I just have not had the time to do it again, the time or the mental bandwidth to do it because it is very difficult. So I talked to my coach tonight. I've hired a coach, more for the accountability, but I'm also going to be designing my own functional bodybuilding track for Naughty Gym. So I know I'm not alone in the fact that I enjoy lifting weight. I enjoy the grind of it. I enjoy kind of the bro sessions. I love that.
And this is the program you're using to get ready to compete.
Yep. So I'm going to be putting that all in a nice, tidy package, and we'll be offering that through Naughty Gym as well.
And speaking of accountability, Coach Carr, our new coach, has agreed to be my accountability coach since she and I don't do well accounting for each other.
Right. Well, and she's also precision nutrition coach.
Yeah, she has tons of experience in the fitness industry. So I have asked her to daily check in with me and to be mean about it. Like send me hate messages.
And that's what it takes for you. Not that she's a mean person, but that's what you need. Kind of the drill sergeant, like do it. You asked me actually. He said, I just need some accountability. I need you to hold me accountable. And I was like, that's not going to work because.
Well, and I've also agreed to let her post the after pictures of me.
Right. But why it doesn't work, I can't be your accountability coach because you don't listen to me. Because I say, please don't bring popcorn to bed tonight. And you disappear and you come back, not with one popcorn bowl, but two, because you need me to share in your suffering.
That's right. So, and we bring that up to say this. We do offer one-on-one accountability coaching for our members.
Yeah, fitness, nutrition, accountability coaching.
And for the one price, and it's a little bit pricey. It's $279 a month, but we act as your fitness, your nutrition coaches. Lifestyle. If you have questions about that kind of stuff, we really want to help hold you accountable to your program, whatever that is. And it doesn't even have to be Naughty Gym programming if you don't want it to be, but we all need that kind of accountability in our life. And April and I have realized we don't hold each other accountable very well. We're pretty self-sufficient most of the time, but this is a pretty strict program that we're going to be running. And I know I needed help.
Yeah. So if you're looking for any type of coaching, nutrition, fitness, Cara is a sex and intimacy coach, just have some accountability, hold your feet to the fire. Or if you just want somebody to bounce some ideas off, you have some lifestyle issues, how to navigate this thing that we're all kind of trying to figure out. You want to talk to somebody who's had experience navigating those issues. You can go on our website, naughtygym.com, and click on one-on-one coaching, and you can choose your own coach right from that menu.
So sit back and relax and enjoy this interview with Birds of a Feather Matchmaking, the first lifestyle focused or non-monogamous focused matchmaking service in the industry. Please, if you have never done it, go and like and subscribe our channel, leave a review, do something that'll help the algorithm pick us up. We're terrible about remembering to say that. So please go do that. It would really help us out.
And so today we have with us some special guests. We have Victoria and Ryan from Birds of a Feather Matchmaking, which is a little different, a little unconventional, I guess, in the E&M space and poly space.
The first of its kind.
Yeah, the first of its kind matchmaking service. So welcome, guys.
Okay,
that was not Victoria and Ryan. I'm guessing that was their.
We're going to have to leave that in, the dog barking, right as we start.
Yeah, that was our German Shepherd barking at nothing, I'm sure. So sorry about
that could not have happened at a better time.
So do we need to reintroduce them?
hello.
We have two special guests with us today, Victoria and Ryan of Birds of a Feather Matchmaking service, which is kind of an unconventional service in the poly and E&M space. It's the first of its kind that we are aware of. And so welcome, guys. So good to have you here today.
Thanks for having us.
So we just kind of want to know, let's get started first on a little bit about how you guys got into this space, the E&M or poly or whatever it is for you.
Sure. Yeah, so Ryan and I, we are veterans, and we met in Japan. I was in the Navy, he was in the Marines, and we met at a small house party very organically. And that's pretty much where we met. And his friends and him invited me to go mire karting on the streets of Tokyo with them. And I said yes. And we've been hanging out ever since. And very quickly in us being together, we were discussing non-monogamy and if we'd be interested in doing something like that. And we both were on the same page like right away about pursuing it. And so then we did. So basically we've been in the lifestyle and have had experience for 8 years. We started our journey properly, I would say, in San Diego. And ever since then, we've been going to events and made like tons of friends and hotel takeovers and
You guys
all
got
kinds of
started
people
while
all over the world.
you were active duty military when you got started?
Yes.
Yeah. For the most part, we I would say in San Diego we really got started. But our first foray was we kind of wrote erotica back and forth to each other.
We did.
While we were long
That's
distance.
how it started. Yes, when I was on deployments and we were long distance, because you're long distance for about 6 months, we wrote eroticas about it to back and forth to each other first, where we were pretending that we were like
Different
coming across like different scenarios that we found ourselves in, and so that's kind of what we did when we were long distance, and we're still into it. And then we learned about it, and then we went to like our first event was from a FetLife event, and it was just to like educate ourselves on the different types of E&M.
Yeah.
So we went to like rope tying, we also went to like shibari, and then we met swingers and lifestyle people, and definitely resonated with that kind of dynamic. So we've been rolling with it ever since.
Is it still against the UCMJ to be in a non-monogamous relationship?
When you're married.
Yeah,
yes.
when you're married.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, because you can get in trouble for having multiple relationships while being married, just because of potential pregnancies or the liabilities involved.
Sure.
But yeah, so long. Yeah, short answer, yes. It's not. It's not allowed in the military. You can get in a lot of trouble for it. For sure.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this is an interesting thing. It's in a sense a traditional dating service or functions like one. It's just you're marketing it to the non-monogamous community, which is actually similar to what we have taken the fitness and nutrition aspect of our business, and we just market it to the non-monogamous community.
Yeah, but what you guys do is different than when you get on a typical dating site, right? So this isn't like SDC or Cassidy where people are maybe looking for hookups. Tell us a little bit more about the why. Why did you start this business? What was the need that you saw?
When the idea came to us at first, we were road tripping in Iceland, and I had a screenshot going around of a matchmaker looking for singles for her clients. And I really thought, because at the time I wanted to start my own business, I had finished my MBA, and I didn't know what I wanted to be yet. And so then I thought about it, I was like, being a matchmaker would be a really cool gig. You bring more love into the world. It can be hybrid. You can meet people in person and online. And I'm very much a people person. So I thought about it. I said, what do you think about that? Especially we could have like the niche of non-monogamy. And he's like, yeah, that sounds great. I looked more into it, and it turns out there were no other matchmakers doing it. I also found out through interviews that people or matchmakers were turning away people who were kinky or non-monogamous. And I thought to myself, well, I'd be happy to take them on as clients. And so then I got certified through the Global Love Institute, which is the biggest certification you can get in the matchmaking realm, and became the first certified matchmaker with a specialization for ethically non-monogamous relationships. But when I said that to the general public, I call it non-traditional relationships. That seems to land a little bit easier when people don't know the terms. But there was a need in the professional matchmaking industry, and I was happy to be the first one to start.
This is definitely not I'm a dude sitting at my house on the weekend and I want somebody to find me a play partner for next weekend.
So for us, it's relationship oriented people only. We do not matchmake for play partners, but we offer coaching, like date coaching. So those who do want a relationship or those who do not, and they just want to be, specifically date coaching for men. And so if they want to be a successful man in the lifestyle, we will coach them. But if they also want relationship or they want marriage, we coach them based on that. And it's very customized based on the sessions that we have with them. And then with matchmaking, it is for relationship oriented people only, for men and women who are single or those who are poly and want an additional relationship as well, or couples who want a relationship with a single. So any kind of dynamic where they're relationship oriented and non-monogamous, we work with them.
So you said you really have two different products. Then you have dating coaching for guys, and then the matchmaking service. So, but you will coach a guy who just wants to be a single guy in the lifestyle. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, we have a pretty good idea of what a qualified single male in the lifestyle is. So, based on our experience of almost 10 years, we can point them in the right direction. Say, hey, I'm interested in being part of the lifestyle. Okay, here are the things you need to do to be successful, right? that's definitely one aspect of the business.
Basically, how to market yourself for what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I guess that comes into, you do the image consulting, right? So kind of how they present themselves. We get a lot of single men messaging Naughty Gym asking, about coming to our events and what is expected of them and why is there such a bad rep for single men in the lifestyle. So I guess you deal with a lot of that as well.
And when we coach them, we in the packages that we offer, it covers literally everything you could possibly need. It's photography, it's rewritten profiles, and then we have additional services based on based on location, but practice dates and seeing how they are on and how they present themselves. We also do a wingman service where we help them meet people in organic situations, and the image consulting where we help with their body language, we help with the way they present themselves, and just kind of have like a checklist of things to keep in mind before they go out and meet people.
Okay, so what's a practice date scenario look like? I mean, kind of lay out quickly how that works.
Super quickly, it would be somebody who's very nervous about going on a first date, or who, has gone on a couple dates, but always never really gets the second call back. So we would do a mock date with them. So either Tori or one of the members in our database would go on a date with them and say, they don't know if it's a real date or not, right? Essentially in the program already. But they get feedback from us about what they did right or wrong on the date.
Yeah.
Oh,
So how do they go out to dinner, they'll have to do an activity.
Yeah.
Pretty much every kind of motion that you would do on a first date to make a first good impression. And then after the date is over with, we give them feedback and on how they presented themselves, and pretty much we work from there on how to.
That's fantastic. So you can stuff like, don't talk about your Star Wars collection on date one, or whatever it is.
Just a broad, like I like Star Wars, just a little.
Yeah,
right.
The purpose of first date is to get to a second date, and you don't want to like trauma dump someone on the first date right away. You got to ease them into that. So we do cover.
So does the person that is the fake date, they know they're on a fake date, and are you guys paying them to do that fake date?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whenever y'all get Alabama going,
Scott wants to be a fake
I want to be the fake dater. That will be so fun. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, so
wait, but you matchmake for women as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. Coaching only for men at this time, and then matchmaking for both men.
Is that because men I assume men just need more coaching? They're inherently worse at this?
Yes, they're inherently, unfortunately, a little bit worse, and they're oftentimes more receptive to the feedback.
Yeah.
In wanting to change.
Yeah.
Well, generally.
And so when they sign up for the coaching, they know there's at least a possibility that first date, or maybe even a second date that you've set them up on, is a fake date. They just aren't sure if that date actually is fake or not.
Yes.
So take us through take us through from start to finish, ideally. Like what does it look like? They reach out to you and then what?
For matchmaking, just to make sure.
Or dating.
Yeah, for matchmaking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I have been getting potential and a lot of leads from a lot of different places. Generally, it's from sites that are lifestyle oriented or from referrals from other matchmakers. Basically, how it works is that first they join my dating database, and then I get to know them a little bit. We have a free consultation call, and that's kind of where I tell them price points, kind of expectations. And then if they're still interested, that's when I'll take it to a Zoom call, have another interview with them. And that's when it's like, okay, let's make this happen. And then I have contracts that they have to sign. So if they're local, we'll meet in person, but I have an NDA and I have a candidate agreement and a matchmaking contract that goes over all the legalities and expectations, and also to have layers of privacy with conversations and with the candidate members. Everyone kind of goes through that. There's background checks that are done too. And once that is done, we then go into a very in-depth, 1.5 to 2 hour getting to know you interview where I really get to know the ins and outs of my client and really get a sense of who they would be really compatible with. Because oftentimes people don't even know who would be good for them. So I have that really strong intuition to think okay, this person would be good for you. And so I ask all the tough questions ahead of time, what kind of non-monogamous relationship do you want? Do you want to be a swinger? Do you want to be poly? Do you want the openness? Do you want what do you want for yourself? And that way no one takes anything personal when it's just, that's how they started out, you know?
Right.
So, and people don't know when to ask that kind of question. So I ask all these questions, politics, religion, and basically from there, I try to match someone as close as possible, as well as how, like their fitness levels and if they're world travelers, like things that I've noticed that make couples very compatible with each other. And then from there, I have a good sense of that. And then I have in either my database, or I have to do like kind of what I call heart hunting or executive recruiting if it's a bit more tricky to try to find this particular person. And then I reach out to these, I'll do women, for example. I reach out to women and then I interview them. I background check them. I ask them all these questions. And basically what happens is if they're interested in my client, I show them how the client looks and their profile, and they say yay or nay. And I do, it's very female led in my business because I want everyone to be as comfortable as possible in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And
then you finally get to the first date.
Yes. And then so there's no contacts exchanged until both parties mutually agree they'd like to move on to the second date. So when they both, the client and and the potential candidate would like to go on a date, I plan the date, or the date gets planned ahead of time. Reservations are made, generally in my name. They meet, they talk, they have a lovely time. And then after that second date, that's when they let me know how it went and if they'd like to move forward or if not. And then if they do, great. Then they move on, exchange contacts, and they work on their relationship from there. And if they don't, then I require the candidate to give me feedback so I can coach my client on how to, if there's anything he needs to know.
Okay, so you said you ask them not to exchange contact info after the first date?
No, they can't exchange contacts on the date or before, and they won't be in touch before the date. Yeah. That way that chemistry can be like that in-person chemistry. There's no pressure to be like, oh, we should go on a second date.
Yeah.
And then you give out your number and then like feelings are hurt, or sometimes people like talk themselves out of their first date. You know what I mean? Like they're just not good texters or good communicators in that way. So I cut all that out. And I just make it very as organic and low pressure and making sure everyone's comfortable as much.
I love that.
A lot of science.
Yeah, I think that's great.
It takes a lot of pressure off. And
it's like safety, privacy. There's a lot of reasons why we have it that way.
Well, they can go in with no expectations, right? It's just no stress, no anxiety.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
I love that.
And then
that's a lot of work.
Like what it is. Very thorough.
So this is it's a ton of work for you guys. This is not it's not designed to be a cheap.
It's very hands-on.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's expensive. And I'm not saying it's not good value. It probably is, but it is for somebody who has some discretionary income. Correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Certainly a luxury to outsource your love life.
What's kind of the ideal candidate for you guys? What are you looking for? If somebody calls, what is the perfect sort of setup that you're looking for in a client? Because I'm assuming you also turn people down sometimes.
All the time, yes. I'm very particular about who I choose to have as my clients. The ideal client is someone who, if the funds are there, that's number one. Can you afford the services? But also on that subject too, within my business, I have different levels of tiers of what different things cost, because I do want to help as much as I can, even if they're not able to go with the biggest, package. Exactly. So basically, I would turn up people who are the ideal client is someone who is open-minded, someone who is not wanting a transactional relationship. A lot of times in the matchmaking industry, there'll be men who want someone 20 years younger than them. 30 years younger. And so I can kind of gauge when someone wants a relationship for a true authentic
to have a partner.
Right.
To have a partner, to have a best friend. And so if they're kind of like, I just want someone young and skinny and this is and that, like I'm like, okay, that's not really
I'd
truly about love and compatibility and partnership.
Also somebody who's very interested in broadening their horizons, going beyond just the physical looks and getting to know somebody for who they are.
We of course agree looks are important, but they aren't everything. And I also get a good gauge on if they're truly ethical. Often there's been times where people want a polygamous relationship where they want multiple wives and the wives can't, it's not poly, that's illegal. And of course we can't work with people who are like that. Another thing that I kind of gauge men in particular is like, if they want a partnership and they are like, well, I want to be able to have lots of women, like if they want a swinger lifestyle relationship and they want lots of women for themselves, but they want their partner to be monogamous to them, that's not ethical in my eyes to have a one penis policy. So I won't take on clients who are like that. Like, I want it to be balanced. I want it to be equal. I want the woman to also feel liberated and open to be able to express exactly what she wants. And maybe that is fine with her, or she just wants to be with women. But like, if they have if he wants a one penis policy, also not an ideal client. I think that's pretty much the gist of what I would say would be the ideal client, is just ethical, open-minded, and coachable is another thing that's important to have in a client. To be able to receive feedback, be able to handle rejection well. That's a big one. And just a few things like that.
So you're based right now out of Chicago, is that correct? Okay. So if somebody, say, was in New Jersey or Texas, are you able to work with them as well?
Yes, we do work nationwide for those who are specifically looking for a non-monogamous relationship. And on a case-by-case basis, I will take on a client who wants a traditional relationship in the Chicago area, but ideally non-monogamous, wanting, and then nationwide services are available.
And for the nationwide thing, it just is a little bit more prep work. So we have to essentially canvas that area, find people in that area. We do have people in Texas and California and New York and things like that.
Arizona.
Yeah, we have people.
Major metro areas are ideal.
Okay.
So as you're talking through this, most of the language you're using and what I'm imagining in my head is that most of your clients sound like they're probably male. Is that the case?
Yeah.
Or do you get females that are looking for this service, or is it almost exclusively males looking?
I have both men and women that have reached out and inquired to be clients, yes. And majority have been men, but both women also want to have matchmaking services done for themselves too.
Well, I guess so, because she's matching men up with women who are looking for a match.
Yeah, I just assumed this was probably 90% men for some reason. That may be me being old-fashioned.
Industry. Yeah, I'd say the matchmaking industry is a very male purchasing oriented, right? Like they're the ones buying the services and then going from there. But
traditional matchmakers, generally, they love having male clients because it's easier to matchmake for them. And for me, I almost have the opposite. It's easier for me to have female clients and be able to match them that way because there is more of an influx of men in comparison. So I do have the opposite problem in comparison to other matchmakers, but at the moment it is.
If a guy comes and he's not wanting the matchmaking, he's wanting the coaching, do you turn some of them down too?
No, I mean, coaching is, as long as they're willing to learn and willing to put into practice what we teach them, then we have no problem taking them on. It's when, you take somebody on and say, hey, you need to work on X, Y, Z, and they refuse to work on X, Y, Z, well, then we can't really help you. That would be the only time we turn people down with that.
What is the most common? I've got a million questions running through my head.
Oh, yeah.
What is the most common thing somebody that wants the matchmaking service? What's the most common reason they're reaching out to you guys? Is it, hey, I could get all the people I wanted, but I'm so busy with my work, I just don't have time? Or is it, I'm struggling to find matches? What is it?
Generally, it's about time and then also wanting to have their privacy.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is like they're just too busy to swipe the apps and go on dates that are not compatible and kind of going from there. I'd say that's the most common.
And there's if somebody's high profile, they don't want that out. Understandably, right? Like it can be detrimental to some people's reputation and things. So
they don't want to put their face out on some of those other dating sites and get risk of getting caught. That makes sense.
Yeah, and you likely don't. Most of those dating sites, you don't have to put your face on it, but you're not going to get near as many responses if you don't. So that just eats into your time again. We went through that struggle. We were going to experiment and still plan to with separate dating, and so we got on an app, and it's exhausting. She's like, oh, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
It's about 700 messages to get one. Well,
Yes, and also with men too, like when they're in the lifestyle or in the non-monogamous sites, they're outnumbered too. So it's more competitive for men as well to be able to even reach these women.
Yeah.
And luckily, I guess in my my behalf, it's easier for women to connect with other women, so that I'm able to have an influx versus like what they were maybe able to reach. Especially it depends on like what their pictures they were, if they were using pictures, what their profile was saying. Like women get the ick really easy, and
Right.
so pretty much I
Yeah,
cut
that's
out
true.
any potential ick.
That's true. I know I can think of a handful of single men off the top of my head that we know personally that we have both said, God, I wish we knew somebody to hook him
Yeah.
up with because they're such good people or, whatever the reason. And there's just not in our circle single women.
Well, we need to refer them to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can send them over to the website.
Yeah, we will. We will. Hopefully they'll be listening to this as well.
Well, this may not be something you're comfortable talking about, but just to give people an idea who might be interested in using your services, what kind of, for the matchmaking in particular, what kind of price ranges are we talking about? What's the most expensive? Like somebody walks in with an open checkbook, says, "Hey, I really need help. I don't care how much it costs," to the most budget conscious customer you could possibly afford to take on.
So we have an option for a pay per match, which is like meeting one person. We go through this interview, we rewrite the profiles. I spend time finding this particular person for you. Depending if they're local or nationwide, it ranges between $2,000 and $2,600. And then if they want a 6-month membership, depending if they're local or nationwide, and also depending on the criteria that we agree on, that ranges from $5,000 to $15,000.
Mhm.
I would say the most common or the average would probably be about $7,500 to $12,000. I would
Yeah.
say.
And at
I
that
think that's
top
worth
end,
it.
you're at that top end, you're dealing with people who have extremely stringent criteria. Say, hey,
Right.
I only want a person who's got an MBA, who makes $500,000 a year, is under 5'5", and has green hair. Like, okay, it's gonna be a little difficult.
Good luck.
Yeah,
So we put the criteria and into consideration on how the level of difficulty is to be able to match this person, because no doubt the person's out there and we'll find them.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth it though. If I was single, just knowing what we have, and seeing couples in the E&M lifestyle, how close they are, and I would want that. I'd be like, hook me up, whatever it takes. I need to find that.
Does it, like, let's say a woman like her, let's say she was single and she knew about your service. She wasn't necessarily wanting to, can she just request to be in your database without paying money and say, look, I would like to be considered for some of your wealthy men?
Yeah, no, definitely. That is.
Yes, being a part of my database is free, and it's no cost for the candidates to go on dates with clients.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, somebody
So if
that
there's
money.
single women who are listening, definitely join my dating database for potential to meet very high quality individuals and men as well.
Yeah, and we'll put all the links in the show notes too. We'll put the links so people can go right to your site.
But it's not, and I could be misunderstanding, it's not just single women. It could be her if she wanted to date some high profile guy, or she had very strict requirements of somebody she wanted to be on a separate date with. Even though we're married, she doesn't have to be single, right?
Yeah, no, we just the only piece that we like is the ethical piece. As long as like, if, for example, you two, as long as you knew that what she was doing, that's no issue. Yeah, right. Like as long as everybody's agreed to.
I think Scott's trying to set me up on a separate date.
I just think this is fascinating, and I know you guys can't. There's a lot of privacy that goes into this, but I would imagine that if you did this for 20 years, you would be able to write a book of some of the most incredible stories, funny things that have happened, amazing things.
Yeah.
What are some, without delving into like all of your secrets in your dating coaching, what are some tips that you would give single men going out on dates? Like, what are your 2 or 3 tips that you would give them? Other than don't talk about their Star Wars collection.
That was going to be number one, but so hygiene, I guess, is a really big one that a lot of guys
dressed to impress. Like oftentimes men have the mentality that women don't care what they look like. That is certainly not true at all.
Mm-hmm.
Get a haircut, trim your beard, shave your face, brush your teeth, floss, like do like an everything shower for men and women. It's always great to do before first date.
First impression is very important.
Cologne.
After that, don't just talk to talk. Talk and listen. You want to get to know the person you're actually dating, right? That's a pretty big one.
Yes. Ask questions that are important to you, and I would prompt questions that don't lead to a yes or no. I prompt questions that lead to stories.
Yep.
So the date should be about finding what you guys have in common, and then just being able to share stories with each other to be able to get more insight on who you are as a person.
And I guess the another one would be, if you run out of things to say, there's always something to talk about. So you always have family, friends, your work, your aspirations, like which wouldn't do. Like there's tons of things for to keep the conversation going. I think that's a big part of first date as well.
And then my biggest piece of advice when it comes to being able to have conversations on dates, no one wants to talk about themselves, but they want to be asked about themselves.
Yes.
So ask, and people feel like it, that you like them when you ask questions about them. So I think it's healthy to be able to have back and forth, and you don't want to have an interview. You don't want to rail them over and over again with questions. You want space for them to try to reciprocate and kind of go from there. So ask questions about them because that will make them feel like you like them.
And don't probably pickleball is not the subject you want to bring up in a first date.
You can bring it up, but just don't be obsessive.
Pickleball is a hot topic lately.
Yeah. Now, are there any things they should avoid talking, like the typical religion, politics? Are those things that you would recommend avoiding talking about?
I mean, unless you're a politician, I would probably avoid it. But
yes, don't talk about exes. Don't talk about past relationships. I would talk about uplifting topics. I wouldn't talk about anything heavy. Like if there's
this is the first date, right?
At least this is for first date, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk about death. Don't talk about anything that's making you sad. Just definitely keep conversations light.
I think that's good. So I guess one of the things I think some men and women miss out on is picking up on the social cues of their date, right? So they might think that their date is interested when their date's not, or that pause to listen. And is that something you can coach?
Yeah, no, for sure. That's definitely body language. It's essentially reading your partner. And that would be a coaching, maybe a practice date or something to say, hey, if I'm turned away, not looking at you, kind of tersely responding. I mean, there's a lot of cues to pick up on there. And yes, definitely something to coach.
Yeah, I have so many scenarios running through my head. So the guy, I keep going back to these guys that come for the coaching, and this may be a question also you don't want to answer. Is it often that you're just like, this guy's hopeless? We're gonna let him go because he's ridiculous?
No, I wouldn't say anybody's hopeless, but
that's when they need to be coachable.
Yeah,
they need to try a new method. They need to listen, and they need to. So
there's also setting expectations on a scale. If you're a 1, maybe don't go for the 10, right?
Right.
Having realistic expectations is probably a pretty big part of coaching, and saying, hey, maybe in a couple of years you could get there, but not tomorrow.
Something that's happened that we've been noticing is a lot of men appear to be dating to date themselves, and they don't think about how to date women. And so once they learn how to date women and cater to them and their interests and what they like, being more thoughtful it's a really big thing that men can improve on.
Nobody's uncoachable. It's just putting them in the right mindset.
Yeah.
Sure. What do you mean dating?
Yes, actually, I can give you an example. So I recently had a client where I had rewritten his dating profile. I interviewed him. I talked to him about what he wants, what he's looking for in a person, what his hobbies and interests are. I rewrote his profile that is catered to women. I picked out the pictures that women would probably like, that are good lighting, showing personality. I presented him the profile. He hated it. He's like, this sucks. This is terrible. This is not me. This is not going to work. And I was like, just try it.
Give it a try.
Give it a try for a month. It's the new year, new profile. Just try it out. And if you don't like it, I'll rewrite you until you like one. And, I will work with you from there. Yeah. A month went by, didn't hear from him, and then about a few weeks, almost 2 months later, he's like, your stupid profile worked. He went on a date with this woman. It went really well. And towards the end of the evening, he said he wanted to get feedback on what she thought about his profile. And she said that she liked it and she did read it.
When we were doing our separate dating, I would swipe because like a guy's holding a fish in a picture, or like he just went hunting and killed a deer, or like he's
No
flexing in the gym, and I'm like swipe, swipe, swipe. They may be lovely people, but I'm like, I don't want to see it.
Exact advice I gave him. I said, no dead fish, no dead animals. You know, women don't mind if you go fishing, just not on your dating profile.
Right? Yeah.
He listened, so.
You need, if you can get the guy that you were talking about that you changed his profile to let you blur out his face and show. This is an educational thing. You show his old profile, and then show what you did for his new profile. And again, try to remove any identifying marks or whatever. That would be so instructive and helpful for people to see. If you're a guy that thinks profile A is great and profile B is bad, well, you're wrong. You know, that would be super interesting.
You should do a master class. You really could do a master class for everybody in the lifestyle on how to set up your profile. Because I mean, you can look at all the dating sites, SDC, Cassidy, and stuff like that. Like no tanning bed pictures, like no fish pictures, no sweat, you know, like how to take flattering pictures. That would be a great service you could offer.
What if we did that with you guys? What if we just hosted some sort of free public thing and we reached out, you know, we reached our people and helped you kind of build an audience for it. If you know, not again, you don't want to give away everything that you charge for typically, but maybe just that specific thing, how to build a dating website profile, like she said, and
that's not a bad idea. Actually, we definitely pull something together.
Some do's and don'ts of dating profiles.
Yeah.
This next part we can erase if you guys say no. All right. Sure. Would you be interested?
I have no idea what he's going to say.
So the best episode we ever had.
Hear me out.
Just wait for you say no. The best episode we ever did was we just went live. We had some initial conversations about would we be interested in separate dating, and there's a long story. You know, we weren't going to do it, and we decided to just turn the mic on and discuss it live. And if we decided to do it on the show, we would set the rules and boundaries on the show for how we would do it, all the stuff. And we did that. And we have so much feedback from that show because you can tell we're struggling in the middle of the episode. So this idea popped in my head because it would be similar to that. Would you be willing? I know that this is expensive and hard work for you, so it's not going to bother us if you say no. If we agreed to do it live, talk about the results of the date, would you set us up on separate dates and have us recap it and talk about it for a promotional show?
That would be a lot of work for her.
Yeah, I know. After hearing you say how much work there is in that, I don't know.
I could look into Alabama, right?
The problem is
see what I can read.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a long-term thing. We can definitely try it. It's just canvassing Alabama.
Yeah, that'd be
a
lot of canvassing.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fish.
You can say no.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You have to decide whether or not the amount of work is worth the exposure. And I don't know if it is or not, but it would be fun. It would be fun for us to do and make shows.
Honestly, I don't know that in your matchmaking in that world. I don't know if there's ever been like a video that's been done kind of like that. I mean, obviously there's like matchmaking shows, right?
I'm not opposed to the idea. I could definitely, put some feelers in, a little discovery to see what might be coming about from it. And it's definitely, especially since I'm still in the new beginning stages, it would be probably a good example for people to view from, and if they're into it or not. Actually
think about it, talk about maybe different ideas, how it can be structured.
Well, the agreement we had on our first separate dates, the rule that we agreed to live on our show was that one of the rules where we had to have our first separate dates on the same night. And then we had a curfew of 2 a.m., I think it was, and that we were going to meet each other back at our hotel or our cars or something at 2 a.m. And then we were going to drive home and not discuss the dates until the next morning when we got up, showered, got ready, and then we were going to turn the mic on. And our next show would be us discussing for the first time in front of the camera exactly how the dates went and just kind of do this raw interview with each other.
Definitely interesting. Yeah, that's.
This is real to get.
Kudos to you guys on not talking about it in the car, because I don't think she could.
I would be able
She'd
to
be like,
sleep probably like.
All right.
Yeah, that would have been tough. Well, this has been incredibly interesting, and we want to do whatever we can to help you guys kind of get the word out about your service, because I think this could be really valuable for the right people.
Yeah. Is there anything that we missed today that you'd like to discuss about your services or anything that we didn't talk about?
One of the things I have planned this year is dating events. If you're single, like this, service is nationwide, and she has plans to host dating events. If that's something that you're interested in, or being potentially matched, like all these kind of things, join the dating database and see where potential connections can go.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so at the very minimum, if somebody, even if they couldn't necessarily afford your matchmaking services, they can always be in the database, correct?
Yep.
Yeah,
for sure.
So they can be in the database. They can do coaching, which coaching is from $1,200 to $2,000 based on the package, and that's including the photography, that's including the sessions, it's including the additional services, and then also the additional services can be one-off services as well. In the collaboration guide that I sent, it was talking about like different services that I offer and how much for the collaboration bit. So I try, and then like the dating events will be like $35. So like it could be the lowest price $0, highest price $15,000. So it just really depends on the needs of the clients.
But definitely,
basically, they just need to reach out to you and let you know what they are looking for, and then you can kind of customize their package for them.
Exactly. Yes.
100%.
Yeah, but tell everybody how they can sign up for their services. Where do they find you at?
Yeah. So if anyone would like to connect with me, my social media on Instagram is ENM Matchmaker, and I can be reached at birdsofafeathermatchmaking.com. I have a contact us page, and there you can apply for the, on the main page, it's join our network to join the database, and then contacting me, you can set up a phone call with me. My email's on our site as well at victoria@birdsofafeathermatchmaking.com, and we can get connected that way.
Perfect. All right. Well, Victoria and Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to talking to you more about this, maybe separate dating stuff.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Thank you so much for having us.